Most of the information presented below is based on the research and presentations of Mark Passio, whose work is extensively referenced throughout this summary. Other research and outline by Marko Vovk and narration by Marko Vovk. For more in front, please go Marko Vovk on Amazon and see book list. Gender division, engineered conflict and its consequences. Social engineering through institutions and culture manipulates men and women into perpetual conflict. This engineered division breaks down authentic connections, disrupts families, and weakens the population. The controllers, dark occultists, institutional planners, and social engineers actively design these agendas to promote dependency, obedience, and confusion. The myth of male privilege. Male privilege is a manufactured concept used to further the divide between men and women. Statistical reality refutes this myth. Men overwhelmingly suffer combat deaths, workplace accidents, homicides, and suicides. Men lose custody battles at vastly disproportionate rates. Men make up the majority of taxpayers and infrastructure builders, but consumer spending and power lie in women's hands. The controllers propagate privilege narratives only to incite gender resentment, masking the real drivers of power, order followers, and the New World Order. Most coercive social enforcement is carried out by order followers, predominantly men in enforcement roles. The systems of oppression cannot function without them, yet women have long supported and encouraged the dominators, militaries, police, and other authorities providing moral and material reinforcement. This traditional alignment with power, Passio argues, is not innate but programmed. Women have been conditioned to side with victors, often switching allegiances seamlessly in times of conflict. Androgyny, metrosexuals, and the destruction of masculinity. A key tactic is androgenizing the population. Blurring gender distinctions dissolves strong family structures and eliminates the unique strengths that balanced masculine and feminine energies bring to society. The metrosexual archetype, a feminized man focused on appearance or fashion, arises from this trend. Similarly, the lumbersexual man wears the uniform of rugged masculinity but lacks its substance. Social engineers, through food, chemicals, and culture, lower testosterone levels and undermine genuine masculine traits, producing both overcompensation and passivity. Negative social effects, social media and narcissism. Social media fuels competitive attention-seeking between genders and transforms relationships into commodities. Women, Passio claims, are conditioned to collect men for validation, using digital platforms as marketplaces. Genuine social interaction is eroded, replaced by online posturing. Rudeness and hostility, unseen in face-to-face dealings, become normalized. Millennials, especially millennial women, are presented as compliant, distracted, superficial, and ill-prepared for meaningful engagement. Neo-Puritanism and sexual repression. Religious institutions and neo-feminist ideology combine in shaming normal sexuality, pushing a narrative of guilt and sin around sexual behavior. Healthy sexuality is stigmatized. Voluntary abstinence and asexual behaviors are promoted under the guise of morality and public health. Ideas like hookup culture and rape culture are exaggerated or invented, weaponized to produce panic, discourage intimacy, and fragment trust. The rise of asexualism and sexodus. In extreme form, these pressures contribute to depopulation agendas. Japan serves as the test case, a nation undergoing an intimacy crisis with plummeting birth rates, rampant asexuality, and collapsed romantic interaction. A similar pattern, Passio contends, is being exported and replicated in Western societies as part of a controlled decline. Types of contemporary men. Social engineering produces distinctive male archetypes, each adapted or maladapted to manipulated conditions. Metrosexual, focused on self-image, style, and cultural trends, lacking deep masculine grounding. Lumbersexual emulates outward masculine cues, beards, flannel image, without embodying authentic masculinity. White knight seeks female approval through unconditional defense regardless of the morality of the situation. Order follower accepts roles that perpetuate coercion and systemic violence, blind to larger agendas. Asexual or withdrawn man surrenders interest in intimacy and relationships, sometimes as a reaction to gender war or social hostility. Sexist male disengages entirely from pursuit of relationships, seeing interaction as high risk or unrewarding. Authentic man, the rare individual who embodies responsibility, self-knowledge, and acts from moral autonomy rather than programming. Unbegun, or the uninitiated, the masses who avoid all challenge, refuse inner work, and never begin the journey of awakening. Social manipulation tactics, political correctness, used to censor speech, marginalize dissenters, and enforce narrow social boundaries. Men in particular self-censor, fearing social or sexual ostracism. Shaming tools, notions like toxic masculinity, manspreading, and man-slamming work to stigmatize normal masculine behaviors and reinforce the idea that being a man is inherently wrong. Manspreading, mansplaining, trivial actions by men become leveraged as evidence of collective guilt. This policing of male behavior extends to body language and conversation. Social ostracism. Any challenge to programmed feminist narratives is branded as misogyny or racism, effectively silencing open disagreement. How and why this happened. This comprehensive manipulation is a deliberate project rooted in the aims of globalist, communist, and occult organizations, Tavistock Institute, Club of Rome, intelligence agencies, CFR, UN, Rockefeller Foundation, Bilderberg Group, Fabian Society, organized religions. Their objective is to weaken family structures, disrupt community bonds, and reduce population through engineered social malaise. Mass education, media, pop culture, diet, and pharmaceuticals execute the agenda at scale. The strategy: realized populations are programmable. Through early childhood conditioning, social input is formatted onto the developing mind. Systemic cultural pollution degrades the operating system. Rigid, fear-based belief structures, bad software, are overlaid through repeated messaging. Nurturing is replaced by programming, producing obedient, atomized, malleable citizens. The outcome is a world where emotional, psychological, and physical health declines, spiritual purpose is stripped away, and people police themselves and each other in the name of safety and correctness. All discussion of human nature is dismissed. Passio asserts human behavior is overwhelmingly determined by nurture, not innate traits. The role of women in control and liberation. Inauthentic women, programmed by society, are central to the perpetuation of control. They are taught to support authority, reward order following, and align with dominant power wherever it shifts. Solutions begin with rejecting support for immoral authority and refusing to condone violence or order following in exchange for comfort. Authentic women, like historical revolutionary figures, can transform society by withdrawing support from dominators and living by the principle of non-aggression. This requires courage and willingness to accept temporary discomfort, but it is essential for the rise of true morality, solutions, and the rebirth of the goddess. Change begins by understanding that the deepest belief systems are religious in nature, accepted without questioning, programmed deep into the subconscious. Rewiring belief and behavior is a process of conscious initiation. It demands recognition of the real agenda and disciplined, persistent change on both the individual and collective level. Key solutions include recognizing and resisting all forms of self-censorship, shaming, and political correctness, refusing to support, partner with, or tolerate order following and violence in any form, embracing the sacred union of masculine reason and feminine care within the individual and between genders, practicing conscious parenting, nurturing physical, emotional, and spiritual strength in children, refusing to be programmed by media, political ideology, or fear, building genuine self-esteem through self-reflection and shadow work, the ultimate task to ignite true care for truth, freedom, and others, regardless of personal discomfort. Only through widespread awakening of authentic masculine and feminine principles can society be repaired and the population liberated from occult control. Passio calls for resistance at all levels, spiritual and practical. In summary, the engineered conflict between men and women is a central pillar of global social control. The agenda can only succeed so long as the population acquiesces by ignorance, fear, or programming. Healing requires ruthless self-reflection, principled action, and a collective commitment to break the psychological chains. Thank you for watching. I want to give all credit to Mark Passio for much of this information.